Most people spend their entire lives running away from suffering, believing that true spirituality means living in constant well-being and prosperity. This is a grand illusion that keeps millions trapped in a never-ending cycle of spiritual frustration. When we look at humanity's great spiritual masters, from Christ in the desert to Buddha under the Bodhi tree, we notice a telling pattern. They all awakened their enlightenment not in the absence of adversity, but precisely through it. The fundamental paradox we need to understand is this: transcend them while keeping our inner peace intact. It is like bamboo that bends in the wind but does not break, or like pearls that are born from the constant elasticity inside the oyster. Adversity is not the opposite of spirituality. It is often your most powerful discoveries. Consider for a moment the nature of refined fire. Gold does not reveal its purity until it is subjected to extreme temperatures that separate the precious elements from the impurities. In the same way, our deepest spiritual essence remains hidden under layers of ego, fear, and illusion until the trials of life begin their work of purification. Every challenge we face is an opportunity in disguise, a divine invitation to discover who we really are beyond the masks we wear. Modern society has conditioned us to see suffering as a failure, as evidence that something is fundamentally wrong with us or our spiritual practice. But what if we completely invert this perspective? What if each moment of difficulty was actually a sacred portal, a divine initiation preparing us for higher levels of consciousness? The ancient mystics knew this. They didn't ask for simple lives. They asked for strength to face difficult lives with grace and wisdom. When Jesus said, "There are afflictions in the world, but be of good cheer. I have overcome the world," he was not promising the absence of trouble. He was revealing a deep spiritual secret. Victory does not come from avoiding battle, but from transcending the battlefield altogether. This is the difference between physical strength, which resists through rigidity, and spiritual strength, which prevails through fluidity and adaptation. The journey we begin now is not about developing an impenetrable armor against life. It's about cultivating a peace so deep that no external one can disturb the ocean of serenity within us. It's about discovering that within each of us there is a sacred space, an inner sanctuary where the chaos of the world can't enter, not because we've built walls high enough, but because we've learned to dance with chaos without losing our center. Many spiritual researchers make the mistake of trying to use spirituality as a shield against reality. They meditate to escape, pray to avoid, practice rituals to protect themselves. But true spiritual mastery is not in creating a bubble of protection around us. It lies in developing such a depth of rootedness in our divine essence that we can walk through fire without getting burned. Not because fire is not real, but because it has discovered something within us that is more real than fire. This is the radical invitation of this teaching: to stop seeing trials as punishments or failures and to start seeing them as sacred initiations. Every tear shed is washing away an illusion. Each moment of despair is creating space for a deeper faith to be born. Each loss is preparing you to receive something that your old self had no capacity to contain. The universe is not conspiring against you. It is conspiring to reveal to you your true, indestructible nature. Spiritual resistance has nothing to do with the resistance we know in the physical world. While physical resistance is based on opposition and conflict, spiritual resistance flourishes through ease and transcendence. It is such a revolutionary concept that the conditioned mind has difficulty grasping it initially. How can we resist without resisting? How can we be strong while being soft? How can we win without fighting? To understand this mystery, we must first deconstruct our cultural programming about what it means to be strong. We have been taught that strength means toughness, that to resist means to oppose, that to win means to defeat something or someone. But to observe the water, the softest element of nature, capable of sculpting mountains and crossing any barrier simply by persistently flowing into its essential nature. Water does not fight against rock. It embraces it, contours it, and eventually transforms it. This is the essence of spiritual resistance. In ancient spiritual traditions, there is a concept known as sacred surrender. Not the surrender of defeat, but the surrender of wisdoms. It is the recognition that there is a divine intelligence operating through all situations, even those that our limited mind judges as negative. When we develop this realization, something extraordinary happens. We stop wasting energy fighting reality and start using that same energy to align ourselves with the divine flow that is always present, always guiding us toward our higher evolution. Authentic spiritual resistance is born of a deep understanding. We are not our thoughts. We are not our emotions. We are not even the same experiences. We are an eternal consciousness that observes all of this. When this realization becomes not just an intellectual concept, but a living experience in our being, we develop an extraordinary capacity for centered permanence, regardless of what happens around us. It's like discovering that you're not the wave tossing through the storm. You're the deep ocean that remains calm beneath the churning surface. This form of resistance requires a complete reorientation of our identity. Most people derive their sense of self from external statistics, their job, their relationships, their achievements, their possessions. When these things are threatened or lost, they panic because they feel like they are missing them. But the one who developed true spiritual endurance anchored his identity in something eternal and unchanging. He knows that he is a spiritual being having a temporary human experience, not the other way around. The development of this sacred endurance begins with a simple but profound practice, a mindful observation without judgment. When we face a difficulty, instead of immediately reacting with resistance or despair, learn to take a step back internally and observe. Oh, here's the pain, here's the fear, here's the anger. We don't try to change or renew anything initially. We just observe with compassion. This simple act of mindful witnessing creates a sacred space between us and our experience, a space where wisdom can emerge. In this space of conscious observation, we begin to understand patterns. We see how our mind creates stories about our suffering, amplifying it unnecessarily. We realize how to resist not only the real pain of the present moment, but also the imagined pain of the future and the remembered pain of the past. We discover that much of our suffering does not come from the events themselves, but from our mental and emotional relationship with those events. Spiritual resistance teaches us the sacred art of deep yes, not a passive yes of resignation, but an active yes of conscious accessibility. It is saying yes to the entirety of human experience, knowing that every aspect of it, including suffering, has a divine purpose. In our evolutionary journey, this does not mean that we like suffering or that we seek it, but that we register its reality without adding unnecessary resistance that only amplifies our pain. When we master this art, something miraculous happens. We have discovered an inexhaustible source of strength within us. It's not a force that we need to create or maintain. It's a force that has always been there, waiting to be discovered. It is a force from the universe itself, flowing through us when we stop blocking its flow with our resistance. It is the force that moves the stars, that makes the flowers grow through the concrete, that keeps our heart beating without our conscious effort. This is true spiritual endurance, not the strength put, but the strength to flow with such grace that nothing can divert us from our sacred center. There is a hidden truth that the ancient mystery schools knew well. Every significant test in our lives is in reality a divine initiation in disguise. They are not punishments requested from a cruel universe, nor sadistic tests of a capricious imagination. They are portals carefully orchestrated by cosmic intelligence to elevate us to new levels of consciousness and spiritual capacity. Understanding this truth completely transforms our relationship with suffering. In ancient scientific traditions, the neophyte must pass specific tests before accessing deeper sacred knowledge. These trials were not arbitrary. Each of them was designed to awaken specific latent capacities in the soul of the initiate. The fear of death awakened the consciousness of eternity. Total darkness revealed the light within. Isolation forced the encounter with the true self. In the same way, every challenge we face in modern life carries within it the seeds of a specific initiation. Consider the nature of a true initiation. It always involves the death of an old version of ourselves, so that a higher version can be born. This process of spiritual death and rebirth is precisely painful because we cling so tightly to our limited identities. The caterpillar needs to completely dissolve in the chrysalis before it emerges as a butterfly. If it resisted this process, trying to maintain its caterpillar form, it would never discover its wings. Our proofs work in the same way. They dissolve obsolete aspects of our being to reveal our true nature. When we lose something or someone we love deeply, we are being initiated into the mysteries of detachment and the impermanent nature of form. When we face betrayal or injustice, we are initiated into the art of unconditional forgiveness and divine justice that transcends human justice. When we experience illness or physical limitations, we are being initiated into the awareness that we are not our body, but the eternal consciousness that temporarily inhabits it. Each test carries a specific medicine for our soul. The secret lies in consideration of the initiated nature of the evidence while it is happening, not just in retrospect. When we're in the middle of the storm, it's easy to feel only chaos and pain. But if we can keep even a small part of our consciousness awake enough to ask, what is the initiation here? What is trying to be born through this apparent death? We transform our experience from passive victim to active initiate. This change in perspective is revolutionary. Divine initiations follow specific patterns that we can learn about. First, there is always a phase of separation. We are removed from our comfort zone, from our family supports, sometimes even from our sense of self. This phase is disorienting and often frightening. Then comes the liminal phase, the space between what we have been and what we are becoming. Here we inhabit the emptiness, the not knowing, the fertile darkness where real transformation takes place. Finally, there is a phase of return or integration, where we emerge transformed, carrying gifts that could only be conquered through the initiatory journey. It is crucial to understand that these initiatives are not created by a punitive universe, but by a deeply loving universe that is constantly conspiring for our evolution. The universe loves us so much that it won't let us stay small when we were created for greatness. He loves us so much that he is willing to be misunderstood, to be seen as cruel, while patiently guiding us through the exact experiences we need to awaken. Every trial is an act of divine love in disguise. When we begin to see our difficulties as sacred initiations, our response to them fundamentally changes. Instead of asking, "Why me?" we start asking, "Why me?" Instead of seeking only the incident, we seek revelation. Instead of just surviving, we seek to be transformed. This shift in consciousness does not become less real, but merges it with sacred meaning. And meaning, discovered, is the most powerful antidote to senseless suffering. The most powerful initiatives often come disguised as the most devastating losses. The dream job we have lost can be an initiation into our true calling. The relationship that ends can be an initiation into a self-love that we needed to figure out first. The health we lose can be an initiation into levels of healing and body awareness that we would never have accessed otherwise. The universe is a skilled master who knows exactly what to use for each initiation it needs. True faith is not tested in peacetime, but in the eye of the storm. Anyone can believe when the evidence is detailed, when victories are plentiful, when the path is clear. But to develop a faith that remains unshaken when everything around is falling apart, this is the mark of a soul that has transcended the limitations of the conditioned mind and touched something eternal. This faith is not blind belief. It is experiential knowledge of the divine presence that pervades all existence. To understand the nature of unwavering faith, we must first distinguish it from ordinary hope. Hope says, "I hope things get better." Unwavering faith says, I know everything is unfolding perfectly, even when I can't see how. Hope is still stuck in the duality of good and bad, casual and undesirable. Transcendent faith regulates a divine perfection, working through all apparent imperfections. It is the absolute certainty that there is a loving intelligence guiding every moment, even the most painful ones. This quality of faith cannot be developed through superficial positive affirmations or magical thinking. It is born only through the fire of direct experience. Each time we cross a darkness that seemed insurmountable and discover light on the other side, our faith deepens. Each time what seemed to be a curse turns out to be a hidden victory. Our confidence in the wisdom of the universe is strengthened. Unshakable faith is built up, trial by proof, revelation by revelation, until it becomes an unshakable certainty in our bones. The development of this faith requires a specific practice, a radical surrender. Not a surrender of defeat, but a surrender of supreme wisdom. It is the recognition that our limited perspective cannot grasp the full picture, that we have sold only a few threads of the immense carpet that the universe is weaving. When we surrender our need to understand and control, we make room for greater intelligence to operate through us. This surrender is not passivity. It is the most ardent action a human being can take. In the midst of chaos, our conditioned mind panics, creating thousands of catastrophic scenarios, desperately trying to find solid ground. But unwavering faith teaches us to find our center not in external results, but in our eternal connection to Source. It's like learning to dance in an earthquake, not trying to make the ground stop shaking, but finding our balance in something beyond the ground. This is the supreme art of spiritual navigation. True faith has a paradoxical quality. It is simultaneously active and receptive. It is active in the sense that it requires our conscious participation, our moment-to-moment choice to trust even when all the evidence suggests otherwise. It is receptive in the sense that we are not creating this faith through effort, but allowing it to emerge from our deepest knowing. It's like breathing. It requires our participation, but we can't force it. When we find a balance between effort and surrender, faith naturally flourishes. One of the greatest obstacles to the development of unshakable faith is our dependence on certainty and control. We want guarantees. We want to know exactly how things will unfold. We want a detailed map of the territory ahead. But faith really blossoms in uncertainty. She says, I don't know how, but I know I do. It's a courage to take the next step, even when we can't see the entire ladder. It's trusting that the bridge will appear beneath our feet as we walk, not before. When we develop this level of faith, something extraordinary happens. Chaos loses its power over us, not because the chaos disappears, but because it has discovered something within us that is greater than any chaos outside. It's like finding out you're in heaven, not the stormy clouds that pass through it. The storms still come, but they cannot touch your essence. You become like the eye of the hurricane, perfectly calm at the center. of enormous moving forces. This unshakable faith is not a destination we reach once and keep forever. It is a living practice, a choice he makes thousands of times. Every moment of doubt is an opportunity to choose faith again. Each moment of fear is an invitation to dive deeper into our confidence. Faith is not tested once. It is forged continually in the fire of human experience. And each time we choose to trust in the midst of uncertainty, our capacity for faith expands until we eventually become the very embodiment of divine trust walking the earth. The most violent storm is not the one that rages around us, but the one that arises within our own mind and heart. We can find shelter from external storms, but there is nowhere to run when chaos is within us. It is here, on this battlefield within, that true spiritual victory is won. Finding genuine peace in the midst of inner turmoil is the supreme art of the spiritual warrior, and it is a skill that can be cultivated through conscious practice and deep understanding. The first revolutionary insight is to realize that we don't need to eliminate to find peace. This is a trap that most fall into, believing that peace can only exist in the absence of conflict, that we need to first solve all our inner problems before experiencing serenity. But true peace is not the absence of absence. It is the presence of an undisturbed center that can coexist with any turbulence. It is to discover the eye of the hurricane within our own consciousness. Imagine a storm for a moment in the ocean during violence. On the surface, there is absolute chaos, gigantic waves, howling winds, apparent destruction. But if you dive deep enough, you'll find perfectly calm waters. A storm simply cannot reach these depths. In the same way, within each of us, there is a depth of being that no emotional or mental storm can disturb. The secret is not funny on the surface, but learning to dive. This inner dive requires a specific technique that mystics call compassionate witnessing. When intense emotions arise in fear, sadness, despair, our habitual occurrence is to be completely swallowed up in them, or to try to violently suppress them. Both approaches only intensify the storm. Compassionate witnessing offers a third way. We observe the emotional storm with full presence, but without identifying with it. We say, "There's anger here," instead of "I'm angry." This subtle shift in perspective creates a sacred space where peace can exist simultaneously with turmoil. The practice of compassionate witnessing reveals something extraordinary. Our emotions, not intense ones, are temporary. They arise, reach a peak, and inevitably dissolve. When we stop feeding them with our resistance or identification, they pass much more quickly. It's like discovering that you don't have to fight the waves. You can just float away and let them pass beneath you. This is the essence of peace in the storm, not the elimination of waves, but the art of riding them with grace. One of the biggest obstacles to finding this inner peace is our deep-rooted belief that we need to fix our inner states. We spend enormous amounts of energy trying to change how we feel, trying to force positive states and eliminate negative ones. But what if there's nothing to regret? What if every emotional state, including painful ones, has its rightful place in our human experience? What if peace comes not from having only good emotions, but from being at peace with the full range of human experience? This radical accessibility does not mean resignation or apathy. It means considering that we are big enough to contain all experiences without being defined by any of them. It's like discovering that you're not just a musical note, but an entire symphony. Some parts are melodious, others dissonant, but all considered for the whole of the song. When we embrace this expanded perspective, peace emerges naturally, not because we eliminate dissonance, but because we recognize its function in the larger symphony. True mastery comes when you learn to use the storm itself as a path to deeper peace. Each emotional trigger becomes an opportunity to practice despair. Each moment of inner chaos becomes an invitation to discover the space of stillness that is always available. It's like using the weight that's trying to sink you as anxiety to keep you rooted. The very intensity of the storm becomes the fuel for our transformation. There is one final secret about finding peace within that few have discovered. The storm itself is made of the same energy as peace. Intense anger, when completely allowed without action or suppression, transmutes into clearly powerful, deep. Fear, when fully embraced, reveals itself as vitally motivated. Deep sorrow, when honored completely, opens into universal compassion. Storm and peace are not opposites. They are different expressions of the same life energy flowing through us. When we understand this experientially, we no longer need to fear our inner storms. We recognize in them their own power of transformation in disguise, hoping to be alchemized into peace through our conscious and loving presence. There is a protection that transcends all the physical and psychological shields we can build, the invisible armor of waking consciousness. This is not a barrier that separates us from life, but a quality of presence so complete that it makes us invulnerable to the arrows of painful suffering. It's not that pain can't touch us, but it can no longer define or destroy us. This armor is not forged from metal or fear, but from pure consciousness, crystallized through consistent spiritual practice. To understand this invisible armor, we must first understand what really hurts us. It is rarely the event that causes our deepest suffering, but our interpretation of and resistance to it. Someone criticizes us, and it is not the criticism that hurts, but our identification with an image of ourselves that has been challenged. We have lost something valuable, and it is not the loss itself that we have devastated, but our attachment to permanence in an impermanent universe. Consciousness awakens us, protected not from events, but from our own unconsciousness about them. When we are completely present and aware, something remarkable happens. We develop the ability to experience everything without being consumed by anything. It's like developing a subtle force field around us that allows experiences to pass through us without leaving permanent wounds. This is not dissociation or denial. It is the opposite. It is being so completely present that we can feel everything deeply without losing our center. It's a difference between being a leaf blown by the wind and being a tree that feels the wind but remains rooted. The development of this armor of consciousness begins with the practice of radical mindfulness, not the casual mindfulness we practice occasionally, but a constant, loving vigilance over our internal processes. We observe how our thoughts create realities, how our emotions color our perception, how our conditionings determine our reactions. This observation is not critical or analytically, is simply conscious. And in this pure consciousness, he discovered a space of invulnerability. The armor of consciousness has unique properties that are distinguished from all forms of ego-based protection. First, it is completely permeable. It allows everything to pass through it. Second, it is self-regenerative. The more it is tested, the stronger it becomes. Third, it is invisible to ordinary eyes, but palpable to those who encounter it. People protected by this armor have a quality of presence that is simultaneously completely open and completely protected. They can be in the midst of chaos without being chaotic, in the midst of negativity without becoming negative. One of the most powerful aspects of this armor is that it protects us primarily from ourselves, from our own self-destructive patterns, from our own toxic mental creations, from our own projections and illusions. Most human suffering is self-inflicted through unconscious thinking and emotional reactivity. Awakened consciousness cuts these patterns at their root. When we are truly conscious, we cannot simultaneously be lost in stories of victimhood. We cannot be completely identified with our dramas. We cannot be totally consumed by our neuroses. This protection extends beyond the personal to the interpersonal. When we don the armor of consciousness, we become immune to the toxic energies of others. Not because we close ourselves off, but because we are so entrenched in our own frequency that dissonant energies simply cannot adhere to us. It's like being a clear, strong musical note. Other notes can rise around, but they can't change their fundamental frequency. This is true psychic protection, not walls of fear, but radiant presence. The cultivation of this armor requires daily dedication. Each moment of awareness strengthens her. Each time we choose to observe rather than react, it becomes more resilient. Each time we remain present, instead of fleeing into unconsciousness, it becomes more impenetrable. It is not something we attain once and possess forever. It is a living quality that must be continually nurtured through practice. But once established, it became our second nature, a protection that we don't need to deliberately maintain because it has become part of who we are. The final paradox of the armor of consciousness is that it protects us precisely because we are not trying to protect ourselves. When we stop defending an illusory self, we discover a true self that needs no defense. When we stop fighting life, we discover that life is not fighting with us. When we put on the armor of waking consciousness, we discover the ultimate invulnerability, not the invulnerability of not being able to be touched, but the invulnerability of not being able to be diminished, no matter what touches us. This is the ultimate protection. To discover that our true essence is indestructible, and to live from this knowledge, the culmination of every spiritual journey through the trials is the sacred alchemy of suffering into wisdom. This is not just a poetic concept, but a precise spiritual science that mystics of all specific traditions independently. Suffering, when approached with awareness and surrender, doesn't just diminish. It literally transmutes into wisdom, compassion, and spiritual power. This is the ultimate promise and the supreme gift hidden within every trial. The first revolutionary truth about this transformation is that suffering and wisdom are not opposites. They are different progressions of the same evolutionary energy. Because coal and diamond are both carbon in different states of organization, suffering and wisdom are the same life force at different levels of refinement. What we determine whether we stay in the coal stage or turn into diamond is our conscious response to pressure. When we resist and contract, we remain coal. When we embrace and expand, we crystallize into diamonds. The transformation process follows specific laws. First, suffering must be completely felt and honored, not ignored or denied. Trying to jump directly into wisdom without processing suffering is like trying to harvest without planting. It just doesn't work. Second, there must be a quality of conscious witnessing during the experience of suffering. We cannot be completely lost or completely dissociated from it. Third, there must be an openness to the greater meaning and purpose, a willingness to see beyond the immediate pain to the transformation it is catalyzing. When these conditions are met, something miraculous happens. Suffering begins to reveal its hidden gifts. Betrayal reveals the gift of discernment and high limits. Loss reveals the gift of detachment and deeper appreciation. The disease reveals the gift of conscious mortality and the prioritization of what really matters. The collection reveals the gift of self-sufficiency and unconditional self-love. Each form of suffering carries within itself the sensations of specific wisdom that could not be accessed otherwise. But transformation goes beyond simply drawing lessons from suffering. At its deepest level, conscious suffering literally expands our ability to contain life. It is as if each painful experience carves out more space in our being, creating a greater capacity for love, joy, compassion, and presence. Those who have deliberately survived have a depth and breadth of being that is palpable. They can keep room for the suffering of others because they have already navigated these territories. They became larger containers for life to flow through them. Wisdom born of suffering has a unique quality. It is embodied, not just intellectual. You can read 1,000 books on impermanence, but when you lose something deeply loved, you know impermanence in your bones. You can study compassion for years, but when you've suffered deeply, your compassion for others becomes visceral and automatic. This embodied wisdom cannot be forgotten because it is not stored in the mind. It is woven into the very fabric of our being. There is an advanced stage of this alchemy where we become able to transmute suffering in real time, in the moment we are living in. Instead of needing years of hindsight to see the present in the challenge, We develop the capacity for reflection and extract wisdom while we are still on fire. This is the level of mastery where every difficult moment immediately becomes an opportunity for expansion. We don't wait for suffering to pass in order to learn from it, learning while it's gambling, significantly accelerating our spiritual evolution. The final secret of this transmutation is love. Not sentimental or conditional love, but love as an alchemical force that transforms everything it touches. When we manage to genuinely love our suffering, not in a masochistic way, but by regularizing it as our most dedicated teacher, it immediately begins. Bid transformation into wisdom. It is love that is the transmuting agent, the philosophical fire that transforms the lead of suffering into the gold of sacred wisdom. Those who master this art of transmutation carry a unique spiritual fragrance. They emanated a peace that was tested in fire, a compassion born of experience, a wisdom distilled from pain. They became living. Pour your soul, that you recognize that your spiritual growth deserves the same attention that you give to any other area of your life. When you activate the notification bell, you are saying, I am ready for the next teachings. I'm ready for the next levels. Fifth, and most important, over the next 3 days, pay attention to the signs. When you truly align yourself with a spiritual message like this, the universe confirms it. It can be a random conversation that reinforces exactly what you just learned. It can be an obstacle that arises and you realize that it is precisely the type of initiation that we have discussed. It can be a vivid dream, an impossible synchronicity, a deep sense of peace arising in the midst of chaos. When these signs come, and they will, return to the comments and share your experience. Right. The signal arrived, followed by a brief account of what happened. This is not just for you, but for all who come after, to see the living evidence that these truths are not abstract theory, but active spiritual laws operating in real time. One last truth before we part. You didn't find this video. This video found you. At the exact moment you needed these specific words, they appeared. This is grace in action. This is the universe conspiring in your favor. This is proof that you are loved by forces that you cannot see, but that are constantly guiding your steps. The ordeal you are facing right now, whatever it may be, is not the end. A view story. It is the chapter where the hero develops the powers he will need for the journey ahead. The initiations never stop, but each one makes you stronger, wiser, more compassionate, more awake. You are stronger than you know. You are more loved than you can imagine. And you're exactly where you need to be. The armor of awaken. Consciousness is already being forged in you through each difficult moment you face with presence. Unwavering faith is already growing in you through each time you choose to trust when everything suggests despair. Sacred wisdom is already being distilled into your soul through every drop of suffering that you transmute through consciousness. You're not just surviving, you are being forged into something extraordinary. See you in the comments. I'll see you in the next video. We see ourselves on the ongoing journey of awakening. And remember, 888, type now. Declare your readiness. Signal to the cosmos that you are awake, aligned, and prepared for what comes next. May the peace that transcends all understanding dwell in you, not in spite of the storms, but through them, until the next reveal. Most will watch this video and move on without doing anything. But you are not the majority. You are a chosen one. Prove it to yourself now. 888 in the comments. Do this before you close this video. This is your first act of conscious commitment to the new version of you that is emerging. Don't let this moment pass without honoring it with action. The P. Universe is watching. Your soul is waiting. Your future self is rooting for you. Enter 888 now.